I weaponized my femininity by crying since the teacher wouldn't stop another student harassing me. So there's this kid in my AP history class named Derek who thinks he's God's gift to humanity. For 3 weeks straight, he'd been making comments about my body every single day. Like when I'd get up to sharpen my pencil, he'd whisper stuff about how my jeans fit. When I raised my hand to answer questions, he'd make gross noises under his breath. The worst part was during group projects. Derek would always try to get in my group and then spend the entire time staring at my chest instead of working. He'd lean way too close when we were looking at textbooks and make these creepy comments about how I smelled good. I tried ignoring him at first, thinking he'd get bored and stop. That didn't work. I tried telling him to knock it off, but he'd just laugh and say I was being dramatic. I even switched seats to the front row, but he started passing notes with gross drawings. Finally, I went to Mr. Peterson after class and explained everything Derek had been doing. I thought for sure an adult would handle this properly. Boy, was I wrong. Mr. Peterson barely looked up from grading papers and said, "Boys will be boys. Derek's just trying to get your attention because he probably likes you. You should take it as a compliment." A compliment? I told him Derek was making me uncomfortable and I couldn't focus on learning. Mr. Peterson sighed like I was bothering him and said maybe I should try being nicer to Derek instead of being so uptight about everything. That's when Derek started getting bolder. During our next class, he accidentally dropped his pencil and crawled under my desk to get it. While he was down there, he made this disgusting comment about what he could see. I jumped up and told him to stop, but Mr. Peterson just shushed me for disrupting class. The next day, Derek brought his friends into it. They started rating girls in our class out loud during independent reading time. When they got to me, Derek announced my score and went into detail about why. The whole time, Mr. Peterson sat at his desk playing games on his phone. I was getting desperate. I'd told my parents, but they said to work it out with the teacher first. I tried talking to Derek directly, but he thought it was hilarious. The school counselor was always in meetings. I felt completely helpless. That's when I remembered something my older sister told me about college. She said sometimes you have to play the game to win the game. If adults won't listen to logic, maybe they'll listen to emotion. So the next time Derek made one of his gross comments, I didn't tell him to stop. Instead, I started crying. Not fake crying, but real tears, because honestly, I was at my breaking point anyway. But here's the key. I cried loud. I made sure everyone in that classroom could hear me sobbing. I covered my face with my hands and let out these heartbroken gasps like Derek had just destroyed my entire world. The effect was immediate. Every single student in that room turned to stare. Some girls started asking what was wrong. A few guys looked genuinely concerned. The whole classroom energy shifted from normal Tuesday boredom to something serious just happened. Mr. Peterson finally looked up from his phone. "What's going on over there?" Through my tears, I said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Derek keeps making comments about my body and saying gross things to me, and I just can't take it anymore." You could have heard a pin drop. All eyes turned to Derek, who suddenly looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. The other girls in class started speaking up, saying they'd heard him too, and that it was disgusting. Mr. Peterson's face went white. He realized that a room full of students had just witnessed him ignoring harassment. He called Derek to the hallway immediately. 20 minutes later, Derek came back looking miserable. Turns out Mr. Peterson had called the principal, Derek's parents, and the guidance counselor. Derek got 3 days of suspension and had to write formal apologies to me and every girl in our class. The best part? Mr. Peterson apologized to me privately and said he should have taken my concerns seriously from the beginning. He admitted he thought teenage drama was just something girls exaggerated, but seeing how upset I was made him realize how wrong he'd been. Derek never bothered me again. In fact, he switched to a different history class the next semester, and word spread pretty quickly that our classroom had become a no harassment zone. My sister was right. Sometimes you have to play the game to change the rules.